Hi there, welcome to my office. This is 3P's office. I'm in here just working on the workouts for the week. And this week, having done a week of legs, we're now going to do a week of arms. And we're going to do supersets. So each day, we're going to do a different superset for your arms. So we're going to work both your biceps and your triceps. The aim of that is to build size and definition quickly. The thing about supersets is you get much quicker results than doing single exercises. It's also quicker in the gym, so you can get through more volume, or you can get in and out quickly depending on your aims. So we'll start that tomorrow morning. I wanted to have a few words first of all about arms before we get into the training, to get you thinking in the zone before we start. So in terms of arms, what's my view of how you train arms? Well, arms is probably different from the larger muscle groups like your back or your shoulders or your chest or your legs, in that there aren't that many compound exercises for arms. And what I mean by that is there aren't that many natural basic exercises which use a range of muscles including your arms, and that means that you're generally going to do what are called isolation exercises for your arms, which are exercises specifically aimed at the arm muscles. Now the difference between a basic or a compound exercise and an isolation is the intensity and the extent to which you would normally do isolation exercises all year round. If you were a competitive bodybuilder, you would be doing basic exercises in the off season and more isolation work to build definition, in particular in the competition season. But when you're talking about arms, you would be, and bodybuilders will generally target arms with a lot of isolation work throughout the year. From my perspective, I really like training arms, and I find the exactness of isolation exercises very appealing. So I like the fact that when you're doing arms, you're doing exercises generally that's specific about arms. That's not to say that I don't use my arms and you wouldn't use your arms in other types of exercise. So when you're doing, for example, a bench press, that pushing motion is also going to use your triceps as well as your chest. And if you're doing, for example, a pull down, either on a bar or a lat pull down, you're going to be using your biceps as part of that exercise. So you do train your arm muscles in other exercises, but generally if you're doing an arm day, you're going to be using isolation exercises. So what are we going to be covering during the week, this week coming up? Well, as I said, we're going to be doing supersets. We're going to do 6 days of supersets. So there has got to be at least one day that you learn something, even if you're an expert. I'm a geek when it comes to weights, and so I love having a lot of knowledge of exercises and changing my routine regularly. If you think you're a bit stuck in the rut, or you want something, or you've got new goals for the summer coming up, you want to try a different way to train, or you want to add to your training, or you feel that you're beyond basic training and want to look at more intermediate or advanced training, then supersets are definitely for you. They're also really excellent for you if you're slightly older, because you can lift less weight and still get a great pump and get development in the muscle. So you don't have to go heavy, although you can if you want to. I have done previous videos where we've talked about supersets, but just to recap, if you're not used to or haven't done supersets before, a superset simply means putting 2 exercises together with no rest in between. When I do armed supersets, I tend to do what is called an opposing muscle superset, which means you're exercising opposing muscles in the arm, so the bicep and the tricep. You can have other types of opposing exercise. So a torso superset would be to try and train the chest and the back in one superset. When it comes to arms, you can do a single muscle superset, so a bicep superset or a tricep superset, and I might well do some of those maybe in some later videos, but this week it's all going to be opposing sets. And the reason is because those are your basic supersets for your arms, and you'll get the development that you want doing those types of exercises. In terms of how you work supersets into your training, if you're looking to build muscle, I would generally put supersets in the middle, sort of early to middle of your workout and near the end. So you might do some heavy work at the outset, which are single exercises, so some bicep type curling movements and some tricep extension movements, but you would move quite quickly into your superset. So you might do maybe 1 or 2 exercises first that are single muscle exercises, and move then straight into your superset exercises, because they are the ones that are really going to stress your muscles and tire them out. Take care with your rest periods. If you're training with a partner, there's always a tendency to chat. When you're doing supersets, chatting is not happening when you're exercising, because you must be resting a maximum of 45 seconds between exercises. So you really are moving from one exercise to the other. Frankly, would go to move between two exercises, take maybe 30 seconds rest, and then move again to do the pair of exercises together. You can also, if you want, do exercises where you actually just run the whole lot together, so you can do what's called a massive set. So you might, for example, do 2 sets of supersets together, take a rest, 2 sets of supersets together, take a rest. Look at your fitness level, look at how keen you are, look at your mental attitude, see what you want to do on the day, but as a minimum you should be doing the 2 exercises together, 45-second rest, 2 exercises together, 40-second rest. Right, so that's the sort of general ethos and the way that you train on supersets. Now let's just talk about the form and any particular issues with doing arm weights movements. The first thing I would say in relation to arm weights movements is you really need to make sure that you've warmed up first, particularly with your forearms and where the muscle connects at the elbow, both above the elbow and below. There's a tendency to injure. So you must be careful, particularly with bicep curls, that you have warmed up properly. What that means is that you must do some lighter bicep curl work before you start, and preferably also do some sort of cardio, whether it be skipping, being on a rebounder, going for a walk, going on a treadmill, whatever it is, for 5 minutes to 10 minutes before you start. But with a bicep curl, please start light. Do maybe a couple of sets of 20 reps just to warm your biceps up. Don't go straight heavy, because that is how you injure. And the thing about those sorts of injuries at the elbow, they're quite difficult to heal or quite difficult to rehabilitate. So once you've got that injury, it's quite difficult to get rid of. I once had a bicep injury, and it probably took over a year actually for it to completely heal. So just bear that in mind when you're doing this. Although we all want to be gung-ho in the gym, start light, get warmed up, and then you can go heavy. Now, in terms of any other issues around these exercises, when you are doing a lot of these exercises, you're going to be lifting weights above your head, or you're going to be lying down and taking a weight over your head. You need to be super careful, obviously, about injury, about dropping weights. Always have chalk with you, so that that's liquid chalk, so you can make sure that you've got grip. And where you are lifting, for example, you are lying on a bench and you're lifting a weight above your head, always turn your head to the side as you lift the weight. So turn to the side, so that if you do drop the weight, you're only going to smash one cheekbone, not your nose. That's not a joke, that's genuine in the way that you would lift a weight. Okay, so those are the sort of basic safety issues around triceps. The only other thing I would say is what you're aiming for in the gym. I think the great thing about an arms workout is that you will really, if you do it well, you'll feel a really good pump, particularly if you do any sort of tricep dip movements right at the end of your workout. One of the days I'm going to do a superset with a tricep dip at the end, and that, I think I often end my arm workout with that, because it just feels really good. So you should finish your arm workout with a real pump in your arms. That's what you're aiming for. In terms of frequency a week, it depends really where you are in your training program. If you're doing one body part a day, then obviously you're going to have an arms day, and that was likely to be the last day of your training week before you have your rest day. So you'll have done earlier in the week your torso and your legs. I think the rule of thumb with arms is always make sure that in your training week you've done your chest and your back first. They are your foundation parts of your body. Your arms are in effect window dressing, in my view, and they come at the end of the week when you maybe have got less energy and you don't need to lift heavy, but you still got enough energy to try and to build some muscle in your arms. So do it near the end of the week. If you've got any sort of split routine, again, whatever your split is, make sure your arms come at the end. If you combine them, sometimes you see splits where people are, for example, doing chest and triceps and back and biceps. That's a common one. That's a good split if you're sort of intermediate to advanced bodybuilder, and you can go quite heavy with that, because you're probably doing that twice a week, but you're not just hitting arms. If you have a simple arms day, which I do because I enjoy arms, then you may not need to go as heavy, because you're probably doing more volume of exercises with your arms. So those are my views on arm workouts. As I said, we're going to have a whole week of supersets. It's going to be a fantastic week. I'm really looking forward to it. One last sort of tip or sneak peek is that for some of these supersets, these are exercises that come from Arnold Schwarzenegger, so they're the exercises that he used to build his arms. Arnold Schwarzenegger, like a number of bodybuilders, has published lots on his training programs. So if, like me, you do a lot of reading, you look at these workouts. I certainly, when I started lifting weights heavy, I used a lot of his routines. Even though I'm a woman, I thought he's the best. I'm going to use some of his routines, and I really enjoyed them. So in these supersets, I've used I think 3 that come from Arnold, and then I've got another 3 which come from my experience and from training with other bodybuilders, and also looking at the right books on bodybuilding. So we've got a bit of a mix, but a bit of a sort of celebrity sprinkle on of stardust on a couple of these days. I'll let you know which are the Arnie days. So I will see you tomorrow in the gym. Be ready to do arms, be ready to get a fantastic pump, be ready to start building the physique you want for summer. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.